you see that already?
Mike, this is dangerous business, because I might get Irene Johnson up here, and she'll talk forever, but let's try this. People have asked about these little booklets that we have at the table that explain these placards along the wall. We only did the table booklets for the people that didn't want to get up and walk around and view them. A number of people have asked for copies. If you find a copy laying on the table and you want to take it, but if you want one and there's none left, then write to us and we'll send you one. It's kind of fun to go back and read the stories. I don't know that I can. Well, first, let's kill this one right in the head. All of you people that thank me for this, that's nonsense. I do this for myself. I mean, I'm the guy that's getting the enjoyment out of this. Can you imagine Morris Raster called me twice? Never called me, never talked to me at school. But he called me twice. Carl Smith. How about Carl Smith? I haven't talked to Carl probably since CG's funeral. You know? I mean, it never ends. And as soon as I hear that voice, any one of you, Jerry Forbes, Bob Johnson, all of a sudden you're 18. All of a sudden you're 18 to me. And you can't imagine how much joy I get out of you being friendly toward me. So let's just put a stop. Let's put a stop to thank you. I'm the person that should be thanking anyone. Question has come up about a book. Most of you don't know about a book and you're lucky. But since 1997, I've been researching and working on a book of the history of that area where we went to school from the year 1800 to 2000. When I first started it, I thought I was a fool. Now I know I'm a fool, but I enjoy it so much. You can't imagine, you just cannot imagine what nice things occurred historically in that community. Now, I'm not an author, and I'm not good at writing, and that kind of thing. But I can tell a pretty good story. And I'd like to get those stories down in writing in a book so that you and your children and grandchildren can appreciate the people, the area, the history of the place where you grew up. There is a reason you like each other. There is a reason. It's the community. That it was a terrific place to grow up, and we all need to remember that. Now, when will that book be finished? God only knows, and I haven't talked to God for a couple weeks. But as soon as this event's over, I'll go back and try to finish that book. I'll leave a message with my family that if I should pass away before it's published, that they will see to it that everybody that's on the directory gets a copy of the unpublished contents, so that you'll know what was going to be said, and you have a chance to appreciate the area you grew up. You'll find that if it gets completed, it'll be something you'll treasure. Not because I did it or that kind of, but the thing, you know, like these placards. All of you people know,
Talking like.
yeah, all of you people know these, for example, the Rodemaker boys. You guys all know the Rodemaker boys. Do you know why they didn't go to high school in Kawachi? How many of you know the story? Yeah, their dad didn't want them to. Their dad had a friend in Tennessee that had a boys' school, and he sent them to that school. I mean, that didn't mean much to you folks, but I always wondered what was wrong with Highland High School for the Rodemaker kids anyway, you know? Well, that's what was wrong with them. Herb didn't want them to go to school there. But there's all kinds of little stories like that you've never heard, that you'll have a lot of. I almost said something off color here, but you know, I took people like Harold Amos. Everybody knows Harold Amos.
Yeah.
I took Harold in the car and we drove around the community. And I said, I better not tell these stories.
Go ahead.
Do you guys remember the little store at the corner of Wilcox and Natchez Heights? The Loges had it one time, remember? Okay, and I drove up there with Harold, and I parked there for a minute. And I said, you know, Harold, there's something really strange about that building. Strange, what's so strange about it? Well, I said, it's where I first caught the bus when I came out here in 47. It always seemed bigger than it was. When you looked at it and you go inside, it looked big outside. You go in, it didn't look so big. Well, he said there once was a speakeasy in the back of that. You guys know what a speakeasy is? Okay. The two girls that were the prostitutes up there, now, you never heard of prostitution, Kawachi, did you?
Oh. No.
But it existed, right out of Harold Amos's mouth. I told a good friend of mine, how many of you remember Janice Smith Colwell? She was class president out there for a while. I told Janice about the story, and she says, my God, Bill, don't tell that. Everybody will wonder if that were our mom. But there are just endless stories like that that you'll enjoy if I ever get this book done. While I'm here at the mic, anybody got a question that they want to ask me? Otherwise, I'm going to turn this, Irene Johnson's got a message up here. I'm going to invite her up to the open mic. You might find me a little bit rude if it takes too long, but I'd rather have Irene bring up what she wants to talk about rather than have me do it. Irene, where are you?
Right here.
Come. If you think I'm long-winded, you wait until I read it.
Just a moment.
You know, Collins.
If you allow me to rest from here, then I can do that.
I worked for him all the time as a kid.
Well, do you remember when he walked the book?
Serious.
Master.
Thank
And he
you.
had an extra hole drilled in the fender so that, because you know, before was the little there and that was the best you get. He had a 5-holer and everybody was stopped
Okay, I'm
and
going to
say,
get into my,
Thank you.
but if it takes too long, I'm going to be rude to cut you off, okay?
Oh, no
Yeah.
problem.
he said I had to have the baby.
All right.
so he could-
I'm Nick Johnson's wife. He grew up in Kawachi at the end of the irrigation ditch on Sunset. And the first time he brought me to Kawachi, which I had heard about from his uncle Burl, who was a pilot for Northwest Airlines, I thought that he was talking about a cow having an itch. So, okay. So anyway, I'd come directly to Seattle from Wiesbaden, Germany, where the people who sponsored me to come over to the United States had been stationed in the Air Force. And the people who sponsored me, he was a flight surgeon at the U.S. Air Force Hospital.
Irene, get to the thing about Douglas.
And so it was when I was assisting my husband after I had been told that I would have nothing to do. I could do whatever I wanted to do, but then he fired the assistant in his dental office, and I was drafted. And so we had a patient there who was a very interesting lady by the name of Ethel Walbush. And she had been a real pioneer. She had lived in the wilderness, and she could hunt and fish, and she was a lady who would take horses into the wilderness, both for trail maintenance and for rescuing people who were in trouble. And she came across Chief Justice William O. Douglas when he was in distress. And she loaded him on her horse and brought him out to safety. And after that, he wrote a book, How I Survived in the Wilderness. And there was never once a mention about Ethel Walbush.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Bob, you want to tell your story about Douglas? Come on up here and tell him about your story with Douglas.
Which one?
The one where you jumped over the horse. I still think the best one, though, is where Jerry Forbes, when he was a cop here in town, stopped Douglas and wrote him a citation for making improper turns. That's a classic as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah, most of you probably heard these stories, but when I was in junior in high school, I worked for the Double K Dude Ranch during the summer, both 58 and 59. And Douglas had a cabin about, I don't know, 100 feet from the Double K Ranch. And he was always going on rides with us. And at that time, I didn't know what a lawyer or a judge was, let alone chief of the Supreme Court. So I wasn't that impressed, other than he was just a nice guy, which is his original wife, the first year. She didn't have much respect for him, and therefore I didn't like her. But the next year he comes up with a young lady, Catherine, and I told my bosses, two women run the Duke Ranch, I told my bosses, maybe I ought to go down and visit her. You stay away from there, they said. But it turns out that Catherine and I graduated from law school, or took the bar exam in Seattle at the same time, which I thought was kind of a unique experience. Justice Douglas, I left in the lurch one night. I was supposed to be just an assistant packer on a 10-day pack trip. And we were up at Twin Sisters? No. Anyway, Swede, just up north of the Indian Meadows. Blankenship. We were up at Blankenship Meadows. And that packer, he hadn't sobered up since he left the trailhead. So I wound up being the only guy that was able to back a horse. We got up in the morning and all the horses were gone. So I kept my horse tied up that night, wound up bringing them all back about noon, sending the dudes on up the trail to Cougar Lakes. And meanwhile, this drunk and I would manage to get everything packed up. And he fell down and lost his horse. His horse took off running across the meadows, and I had to chase him down. The bottom line was it was almost midnight when we got into Cougar Lakes, and all the dudes, including Justice Douglas, was pretty hungry. But I'm told that he was able to tell stories all night long and keep everybody entertained. I could go on for hours, and you know I don't want to do that.
Hey, I think there are other people here that have run-ins with Douglas.
Good job.
If you've got a Douglas story, tell it. If you have any stories, tell it. I'll listen and run home and write it down, in fact. I'm going to get off the mic and I'll let you go back to visiting. But thank you all for coming. Do me a favor. Take a picture of your parents, your mom or dad, yourself, one of your children. Write 3 or 4 paragraphs about them, how much you respect them and believe in them. All of them have been successful. You won't find anybody that you know that has not been successful. I will guarantee you. Write that story down, send it to me. I'll see if I can publish it on my website someday. Thank you very much.
Warren
How about it?
Madison
Keep visiting.
used to go up to Cowichan Canyon,